So today is already January 20th, third Sunday of the new year. Time flies, isn't it? Yeah. So did you keep your New Year's resolutions? Did you even make one? Well, some of you are still thinking about it. Right? Some of you are going to make the list, but somehow things just, you probably forgot, or you were busy, or something's happened, like your family visitation, or for Anne's case, she's got cold and symptoms, and so maybe you were kind of delaying it until things quiet down a little bit, right? You're kind of delaying it. So maybe this week you will have a time to actually make the list, right? This week. So if you do, let me just give you a suggestion. What should be on the top of the list? Okay, so like what I did. So this is like top of my list. Is like in the new year I would stop procrastinate. Stop procrastinate. Right. So it's good to make resolutions. See, whether it's going to be at the beginning of the new year or in the middle of the new year, it's good to make resolutions. Good to start afresh, to start new patterns of habits, because the resolutions are really all about resolve to stop undesirable habits and start desirable habits. Right? It's about stopping something and starting something better. Like for example, for instance, stop in the new year I would stop smoking cigarette and I would start smoking weed or something like that. That's really up to you. In the new year I would stop eating from McDonald's and start eating from Subways. Right? Better, isn't it? In the new year's I would stop criticizing and start complimenting more. That's better, isn't it? Right? Complimenting more. It's like stop some undesirable habits and start desirable habits, from bad to good. Right? So, what would you like to stop? What habit that you would like to stop? And what other habit that you would like to start? So that will be a good conversation topic for you later during fellowship hour, right? So if life is what we make it, our life is determined by our everyday habits. We are our habits. And as followers of Jesus Christ, we are to emulate His habits. Not just what He taught, but also how He lived His teachings, but also how He had related with other people, His behaviors, His habits, principles, and His habit patterns. So today I want to speak about one habit of Jesus today, this morning. And I'll be, later on, maybe sometime in February, we'll do a series of Jesus habits. Okay? But for now, today we'll just do one habit this morning. Now, one thing about Jesus' habit is that His habits, if you were to live in, be in His habits is not considered to be good and desirable habits according to our standard. It's not habits like 7 or 10 habits of effective people or successful people. It's not the habits that will make you rich or successful or smart and popular or powerful. It's not going to make you attract more people and allies and all friends, and not all of this. His habit instead, if you were to live out His habits, it's going to make you poor. It's going to make you isolated. It's going to make you alienated from, and it's going to, you probably will make you more enemies than friends. It will make people in a higher place very uncomfortable. Most likely you will end up in a place like trouble and sometimes downright dangerous. I'm talking about bad habits of Jesus. I'm talking about bad habits. When I say bad, I need to qualify in two ways. when we talk about bad habits of Jesus, to qualify in 2 ways. Bad and undesirable, according to this word, according to us, but good and desirable according to the kingdom of God. So that's what bad habits. And bad as in awesome. Like when you see Michael Jordan playing basketball, you see him flying through the air and dunking the basketball over the rim. You look at him and you exclaim, you shout, "That's so bad! That's so sick!" Like, that kind of awesome bad, right? You know what I'm talking about, right? That bad, kind of awesome, kind of like that guy is such a badass kind of bad kind of thing, right? That kind of awesome, right? So we're talking about the bad habits of Jesus. Okay. So today's text we see Jesus doing his first miracle. He's doing his first miracle. It's like his debut performance. It's like, this is what I'm going to be about, okay, folks? Like, he's like coming out, and he says, this is what I'm going to be about. This is what you probably would expect from my ministry from now on. This is what the sign of kingdom of God is really all about. This is like important miracle. Very important miracle, the debut performance. And he seems to be very wasteful. He makes way too much wine. Overabundance of wine. Like exceedingly too much of wine. Like even to the point of wastefulness. Much wine. And that's bad according to my mother. Like bad according to my mother. Because my mom has always said, never waste your food. When it comes to food, it's like cardinal sin in my family as I grew up. It's wasting any food is like cardinal sin in my family. So we would never waste any food. No leftover whatsoever. We would just dig into the last single grain of rice. You can dig in to scratch to the bottom of the bowl and just get that last piece. We would never waste. If there's any rice stuck on the bowl, my mom would just pour water into the bowl and just loosen the rice, and we would drink it and for our dessert and tea. Right? She would never make more than necessary, right? Never waste anything. She should always prepare meal just enough for the family. Never more than necessary, which was not enough for us, but that's. So I taught my children to never waste any food. Finish your plate. I always say, don't ever waste it. Finish your plate, and I always add something else on. I says, do you know, Olga, there's a lot of children on the other side of the world that were just starving. Okay. So some of you are doing the same thing. Never waste, right? But here in this text, Jesus seems to be teaching us how to waste. He's making way too much wine, exceedingly too much, overabundance of wine, even to the point of waste. So what's going on here? So let's just look at the text, just go through the text and just try to figure out what's happening here. So Jesus got invited to a wedding feast. So it was about the finish. Wedding feast was about to be over, but there was no more wine, which was not that disastrous thing because people probably drank quite a bit of wine already. They probably had their share of wine already. It was time to go home, really. But it was not really good for the host because his reputation was on the line. So Jesus comes along and he instructs his servants, the servants over there, to pour the water to the water jug. Was 6 water jugs of 20 to 30 gallons of 6 water jugs, and pour the water and then distribute and to hand it over to the head steward of the whole the event. So let's just pause here and figure out how much wine that he turned from water. Okay, 6 jugs of 20 to 30 gallons of, let's say about 25 gallons each. 6 times 25 is like 155 gallons of wine. Okay, and 1 gallon of wine is 3.7 liters of wine. 3.7 liters times 155 is like 555 liters of wine, which comes out to 740 bottles of 750 milliliters of bottle of wine. Like he made a whole bunch. Like that's a lot of wine, folks. Now, let's say if you were to actually drink one bottle of 750 milliliters of wine, which requires a great deal of effort and strength, isn't it? Like, and I'm a good drinker, but if after about 2 or 3 glasses of red wine, like about this much, I'm just gone for the whole day. I'm in a lull, right? So let's just say these people have been, and these people have been here for a long time. They've been here toward the end of the whole feast, and they've been having their own drinks. They had their own share of wine, and some probably were kind of drunk already, right? They didn't. So what's happening over there? Let's say if they were to actually drink one bottle, it required 740 people to finish the whole wine, which was impossible, right? Which was impossible. Jesus makes way too much wine, exceedingly too much. In other words, he made way more than necessary, even to the point of waste. And not just any wine, but the best kind of Merlot, right? Best kind of wine, because whatever Jesus makes, he makes the best wine ever, right? But he seems to make way too much, even to the point of waste. Exceedingly too much. It's like a wastefulness. But you see, that's the whole point. That's the characteristics about Jesus' hospitality. He always makes too much. He always going overboard, always exceed expectation. He always makes too much wine, always makes too much food. How many baskets full of bread left over after feeding 5,000 people? How many basketful? 12 baskets of bread left over. How many fish? Probably as much left over, right? At one point, there was nothing to eat. Only 5 breads and 2 fish for 5,000 people. It was scarce. And then when Jesus becomes the host, he turns scarcity into abundance. Turns the scarcity into abundance. He makes overabundance, even to the point of waste. But that's what the whole point is. Where Jesus is the host, he always makes too much. Where Jesus is the host, it's always abundant. Because the kingdom of God is all about abundance. The sign of God's kingdom is all about abundance. God's lavishing abundance. That's what sign of Jesus Christ is all about. It's abundance. And that's what we are called to. The followers of Jesus Christ, we are to wastefully abundant when we commit ourselves to the kingdom of God. Jesus doesn't have economics of scarcity. He has economics of abundance. And to be the followers of Jesus Christ, to be the disciples of Jesus Christ, is to display hospitality. That's an action to go over and beyond what's expected. To exercise excess, even to the point of wastefulness. Be wasteful for the kingdom of God, for the work of God, for the work of God. Abundant love is never waste of time and energy and treasure. All the Pharisees, when Jesus spent all of his time with those outsiders, the poor, the children, the widow, and the Samaritans, and all those people who are outside, Jesus spent his time, they said, what a waste of time, what a waste of money, what a waste of your effort. But Jesus says, no, when you abundant love, it's never a waste of time. Jesus is the one who just leave 99 sheep behind and will just focus on one sheep and go after all of his time and energy and effort, everything wasted to get that one sheep. That's what the kingdom of God is really all about. That's the norm in the kingdom of God. The people outside, they will say, that's what a waste. What a waste of energy, what a waste of time, what a waste of money, all of that. But when you work for the kingdom of God, it's never a waste. And you go all in as God's disciples and followers. So today's text, Jesus is teaching us God's lavishing love for his people and for this world. And God's lavishing love through his Son Jesus. And calling us to walk, calling us to join that wonderful opportunity to join that lavishing love of God that's been displayed through Jesus in what we do in our own ministry. We are called to turn the water into wine, folks. And when we turn the water into wine, it's not just any wine, but abundance of wine. Not just any wine, but best kind of wine. That's what we are called to. That's what we kind of ministry that God has called us. And all the programs that you see. It's coming from the vision and coming from understanding and knowing that God is abundant God. And we take our step toward that direction. It's a wonderful opportunity for each one of us and for our community. So I am totally stoked about this. And it's bad as in awesome bad. Okay? That kind of ministry that we've been called to. And that what you've been called to. Be wasteful for the work of God, especially through this community.